chance to go to a question period there, and it's something that I'm happy to repeat here today.
Order. I see we have only a minute before 2 o'clock and 26 minutes remaining in the period of questions and answers. I think we'll go to, we don't want to cut short questions or answers, so therefore we'll go on to statements by members and come back to this, of course, after question period. Statements by members. Déclaration de député, l'honorable député de Montcalm.
The honourable member for Montcalm. Mr. Speaker, on March 23rd in France, Lieutenant Colonel Arnaud Beltrame entered a supermarket in Trèbes to take the place of the last hostage being held by an ISIS terrorist. After 3 hours of negotiations with the terrorist, Arnaud Beltrame was assassinated in cold blood. He sacrificed his life to save another. This was a pure act of heroism, selflessness, generosity in its most admirable form, showing the best of human nature in the face of terrorism. Arnaud Beltrame will not be forgotten. Mr. Speaker, I want to offer on my own behalf and on behalf of the Quebec Parliamentary Group to Marielle, his wife, his family, his friends and colleagues, as well as all of France, our most sincere condolences. Arnaud Beltrame died on March 23rd. A hero for the entire world was born that day.
Honourable member for Central Nova.
Mr. Speaker, I rise to celebrate the 50th anniversary of Summer Street Industries in New Glasgow, Nova Scotia. This organization is celebrating 50 years of helping adults with intellectual challenges live full and happy lives, including some personal friends and former classmates of my own. The organization began with a small group of parents who came together to help 9 young adults, and it's grown to provide a wide range of programs and now helps over 200 clients today. Summer Street Industries provides people in my riding with the opportunity to volunteer or work in the community, learn life skills, and explore personal interests. The organization also partners with local businesses and social enterprises to provide work and training through their employment program. The importance of creating opportunities for people with intellectual disabilities cannot be understated. I commend the team at Summer Street who are committed to the well-being and interests of each of their clients. Every year, Summer Street celebrates with its annual events, including its award ceremony, prom, golf scramble, and the wine and cheese session. I'd like to congratulate those at Summer Street for their 50 years of contributions to our community. Here's looking to the next 50.
L'honorable député de Bellechasse, les Etchemins-Lévis.
The honourable member for Bellechasse, les Etchemins-Lévis. Mr. Speaker, here's a story of courage. Derek, a young boy in Honfleur, who's supported by his sister as well. He's only 2 and he's got leukemia. Despite several chemotherapy treatments, he's already relapsed twice. And his doctors are considering an experimental graft in Memphis, Tennessee. On Saturday, I attended a benefit evening organized by Luc and a municipal team to support the parents, and the response was massive and spontaneous. More than 300 people came to say, "We're with you and your family, Derek." Once his condition allows it, Derek will travel through the United States with his family for 5 months. Mr. Speaker, I'm touched and impressed by the courage Derek shows and the spontaneous response by Honfleur. I say thank you, and we stand alongside you.
Member for Don Valley East.
Mr. Speaker, I rise today to highlight and congratulate 2 exceptional organizations in my riding of Don Valley East. The first is the Songwriters Association of Canada, an organization that helps protect the intellectual property rights of music creators in Canada. I was pleased to meet and congratulate them on receiving a grant of $80,000 through the Canada Music Fund to enhance their ability to compete in domestic and international markets. The second is Clear Blue Technologies, a local innovator of clean technology which received $400,000 in funding to scale up their activities for its solar and wind-powered control systems. With customers in 33 countries, 20 U.S. states, and 8 Canadian provinces, Clear Blue Technologies is playing an important role in shaping Canada's future economy by developing sustainable and renewable sources of energy. Our government is proud to support these local innovative organizations, and I wish them continued success both here at home and around the world. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Bravo. Honourable member for North Island, Powell River.
Elizabeth Kubler-Ross said, "The most beautiful people we have known are those who have known defeat, known suffering, known struggle, known loss, and have found their way out of the depths. These persons have an appreciation, a sensitivity, and an understanding of life that fills them with compassion, gentleness, and a deep, loving concern. Beautiful people do not just happen." In my riding, we have lost too many beautiful people, and today I want to speak of two of them, Pat Horgan and Jude Schooner. Pat Horgan loved the true North Island. He traveled between communities, always looking for ways to help. With charm, humor, and principle, he lived by the creed, if one person is left behind, we are all left behind. Jude Schooner was the mayor of Tassis. She loved her community and fought tirelessly for them. Her heart was big, full of kindness and generosity, and everything she did was with dedication and action. I am so proud to have called them my friends. Thank you, Shirley, Kelly, Patrick, Sarah, and Aidan. Thank you, Scott and Ben, for sharing them with us. They were beautiful people, and their lives were such gifts to us all. Thank you.
L'honorable député d'Edmonton Centre.
The Honourable Member for Edmonton Centre. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Like many last night, I was moved by the many tributes to Gord Downey, a true Canadian legend.
Secret Path, Gord and the Hip had a unique ability to tell stories that captured the essence of the Canadian spirit. As a student, I used to listen to them play at the Dinwoodie Lounge at the University of Alberta. They left an indelible mark on Canada's music scene that will continue to inspire artists here and around the world for generations. Gord a légué aux Canadiens une mission.
Gord left Canadians a mission to shed light on issues currently facing Indigenous peoples in Canada and to take meaningful action towards significant reconciliation.
Honoured Gord as the 2018 Artist of the Year, there is no better way to keep his memory alive than for all Canadians to come together to work towards this shared goal. Merci aux Junos d'avoir...
Thank you to the Junos for having used their tribune to remind us all what issues are currently facing First Nations, and I encourage everyone to learn more about the Downey Wenjack Foundation in order to achieve the objective set by Gord. Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker.
For Calgary, Rocky Ridge.
It's that time of year, Mr. Speaker. It's tax season. And while few Canadians relish the process of filing their taxes, almost all Canadians know that it's their responsibility to do so accurately and on time. The problem, Mr. Speaker, is that accountants from across Canada say that under this revenue minister, accuracy and timeliness at the CRA have never been worse. The call centre is a shambles that routinely hangs up on people or gives them the wrong information, and she has targeted restaurant servers, retail workers, diabetics, single parents, parents of autistic children, while making big promises and delivering virtually nothing in the fight against international tax cheaters. Routine corrections and minor adjustments now take up to 18 months, and accountants say that the appeal process is increasingly bogged down with sloppy or incompetently done audits. So it's time for this minister to stop patting herself on the back and start delivering on her promises to make the CRA more client-friendly.
Honourable Member for Nepean.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I rise today to bring awareness to Somaliland, an autonomous region of northwestern Somalia with nearly 4 million residents. In the recent Somaliland elections, Muse Bihi Abdi was elected as president, the first Somaliland president to be voted with a very good majority. The state introduced a legislation to address gender-based violence, intending to significantly reduce the rising sexual violence rate. Somalilanders are optimistic the new president will strengthen the region's democratic credentials and set itself on a more prosperous path. I would also like to thank the Somali Canadian community in Ottawa for all of its hard work and contributions to the community and for continuing to help foster the relationship between Canada and Somalia, including Somaliland. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
The Honourable Member for Brampton West.
Mr. Speaker, I'm not sure if you or my colleagues in the chamber caught the Junos last night, but let me tell you, Canadians can be proud of our world-renowned musicians. I'm very honored to recognize our hometown hero, Brampton native Jessie Ruiz, for taking home Breakthrough Artist of the Year at the Junos. Jessie's performances are nothing short of breathtaking. At just age 27, her mastery of soul and R&B is just one of a kind. From nearly giving up on music just a few years ago to now touring Europe and performing at South by Southwest, Jessie is just another example of the hard work and determination of Canada's artists. I cannot say enough how proud I am of Jessie and of all of our musicians and creators. Thank you to all of our artists at the Junos yesterday, and thank you to all the fans and the industry that continues to help them reach the stars. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
The honourable member for Selkirk, Interlake, Eastman.
Mr. Speaker, as Conservatives will always support sound policy that ensures the safe storage and handling of firearms, screens licensed firearm owners, classifies firearms based on function, and targets the criminals who commit gun crimes. Unfortunately, the Liberals' new backdoor gun registry in Bill C-71 fails to stop the criminals who use guns to commit violent crime. And again, the Liberals are treating law-abiding firearm owners as criminals. Their legislation has no new measures to combat gang violence in our cities, gun violence on our streets, or crime in our rural communities. The Liberals are re-establishing a federal registrar to keep records on law-abiding firearms owners. Mr. Speaker, registrars keep registries. What the Prime Minister fails to understand is that gangs, thugs, and gun runners don't register their firearms. I fought against the original long gun registry for almost 2 decades, and I'll continue to oppose the Liberals' new, ill-advised, and unnecessary backdoor gun registry.
The Honourable Member for Laurentides-Lebel. Mr. Speaker, it's with great pride that I highlight the most recent version of my newsletter, which went out to 69,000 households in Laurentides-Lebel last week. When the House announced that mailings would soon be available in new colour format, I immediately embarked on the pilot project. Newsletters are a way of engaging with residents, highlighting the involvement of constituents who make a difference and work to help build a better partnership between my region and the federal government. I humbly salute the work done by my team and the printing and mailing services on the Hill, especially the work of Samuel Saint-Armand, Kim Longto, and Sarah Drouin. Thanks to them, my riding is once again a trailblazer. The people of Laurentides-Lebel are the first in the country to receive an improved newsletter in full colour, and the comments are already very positive.
Honourable member for Labrador.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I'm pleased to rise today to mark the occasion of March 24th, which was recognized as World Tuberculosis Day. TB is a treatable and curable disease. However, it continues to claim the lives of more than 1.7 million people worldwide. And indicators show it is nearly 300 times higher for Inuit than non-Indigenous born Canadians. I am pleased to recognize our government's commitment to eliminating TB across Inuit and Nungat regions, as announced by the Minister of Indigenous Services last week, ensuring these communities have the resources to combat this disease. For too long, people in the North and Inuit people have needlessly suffered from a curable and treated illness. Today, I also wish to recognize my constituents across Labrador and the many families who continue to deal with this significant problem. I encourage people to be tested and to follow treatments and to work together to combat and eradicate this disease.
The honourable member for Oshawa.
As you know, Mr. Speaker, today, March 26th, marks Purple Day. Started in 2008 by Cassidy Megan of Halifax, it has grown into an international event. On this day, people around the world are wearing purple to increase awareness of epilepsy, a chronic neurological disorder that affects over 50 million people worldwide. My riding of Oshawa is well served by Epilepsy Durham Region, who serves all 8 municipalities with a staff of only 2 and a dedicated team of volunteers. This incredible organization promotes independence and quality of life for families and those affected with epilepsy. With no local specialized medical care, Epilepsy Durham Region provides education, peer-to-peer support, and employment support to people living with epilepsy. A proud member of the Canadian Epilepsy Alliance, CEO Diane McKenzie and her organization deliver all their services to Durham Region without access to government funding. I applaud the outstanding work of Epilepsy Durham Region, and on behalf of my colleagues in this House, I want to thank Diane, Chelsea, and their team. Happy Purple Day, everyone.
Hear, hear.
The Honourable Member for Saint Laurent.
This Sunday, March 25th, Greeks and Philhellenes across the country and around the world participated in marches to celebrate Greek Independence Day. Le 25 mars 1800.
March 25th, 1821, the Greek War of Independence started with an uprising by revolutionary heroes like Theodoros Kolokodoros, Lascarina Bulubina, and Rigas Ferrarios, who wrote, "It's better to live freely for 1 hour than 40 years as a prisoner or slave."
Contributed greatly to Canadian society, making Canada more prosperous, culturally diverse, and inclusive. On behalf of the Government of Canada and of Saint Laurent, please accept my very best wishes for this important national celebration. Χρόνια πολλά για την ημέρα, ζήτω η Ελλάδα, ζήτω ο Καναδάς, ζήτω 25η Μαρτίου 1821.
Honourable Member for Hamilton Mountain.
This government needs to understand that pensions are deferred wages. Denying workers' pensions money they have earned is theft, plain and simple. Thousands of Canadian workers who have lost their hard-earned benefits and pensions due to Canada's inadequate bankruptcy and insolvency laws know all this too well. And why does it happen? Because the law allows it to happen. No one can blame workers for being skeptical of the government's commitment to address retirement security and the weak-kneed promise to obtain feedback through further conversation. How much more evidence-based feedback does this government need than the thousands of Canadian workers who have lost health care benefits and value from their pensions? This government must get serious about changing Canada's inadequate bankruptcy and insolvency laws and make the changes presented in my private member's bill C-384. Those changes would go a long way to help protecting the well-being and retirement security of Canadian workers. As I've traveled across the country in recent months, Canadian workers have made it clear they want action, not more conversation. End the pension theft.
The Honourable Member for Mégantic-Clérable. Mr. Speaker, I voted for 21 hours because I'm fed up with the hypocrisy. I voted for 21 hours because I believe in freedom of speech. I voted for 21 hours because Canada deserves better. I voted for 21 hours because I'm proud to take a stand. I voted for 21 hours because Parliament belongs to the people. I voted for 21 hours because the House of Commons is where the representatives of Canadians speak. I voted for 21 hours because the government must be held accountable. I voted for 21 hours because the Prime Minister's office can't just do anything it wants. I voted for 21 hours because the state is not at the service of the Prime Minister. I voted for 21 hours because the National Security Advisor needs to be free to speak to Canadians. I voted for 21 hours so that truth will triumph over Liberal schemes. I voted with my colleagues for 21 hours because the official opposition and its leader are an extraordinary team. And there's only 13,762 hours before we replace this Liberal government with a Conservative government.
The Honourable Member for Dartmouth-Cole Harbour. Order.
Mr. Speaker, as you know, today is Purple Day, a day dedicated to increasing awareness about epilepsy. Each year, over 15,000 Canadians are diagnosed with epilepsy, but due to the stigma surrounding it, many people are reluctant to seek care. That's one of the reasons why a good friend of ours, Nova Scotia's Cassidy Megan, created Purple Day, to help people with epilepsy know that they are not alone and to help others understand more about this disorder. Now, due to Cassidy's hard work, over 100 countries now celebrate Purple Day. And you too can show your support by wearing purple every March 26th. Mr. Speaker, I'd like to finish by reading this quote from Cassidy Megan. Epilepsy is a part of you, but it doesn't define you. Everybody has a voice. Continue to use yours to speak out and spread awareness for epilepsy. Don't fear it, own it, and tell your story. Together, we are erasing the stigma of epilepsy.
Questions orales, oral questions. The Honourable Opposition House Leader.
Last week, the Liberals spent over 20 hours voting to protect the Prime Minister by preventing his National Security Advisor from providing information to parliamentarians. The Prime Minister is hiding something. Let's not be mistaken. PMO set up and facilitated the briefing whereby the India conspiracy theory was floated out. My question to the Prime Minister is, did he know that Danielle Jean was going to be briefing the media about the Atwell affair?
Honourable Prime Minister.
Mr. Speaker, the Leader of the official opposition has been offered a classified briefing from the non-partisan professional public service. But for reasons known only to him, he refuses to accept that briefing. Mr. Speaker, I ask the opposition leader that he should accept that classified briefing from officials, and then we can talk.
Honourable Opposition House Leader.
Mr. Speaker, I asked the Prime Minister a question and we would like an answer. Daniel Jean did not decide of his own volition to go out and talk to the media. He was instructed by the Prime Minister's office to go out and float a theory that somehow India was involved in the Atwell affair. So I asked the Prime Minister, was he aware that Daniel Jean, his national security advisor, was going to be giving a briefing to the media about the Atwell affair? Yes or no?
Mr. Speaker, all Canadians understand that when it comes to security and intelligence issues, there is from time to time a need to keep classified information classified. However, the leader of the official opposition is a member of the Privy Council and as such could receive classified briefings. We have offered repeatedly to the leader of the official opposition to receive a classified briefing. Instead, the official opposition prefers to play petty politics rather than know the truth.
Honourable Opposition House Leader. Order.
Mr. Speaker, we are asking for the same briefing that the media received. Now, Mr. Speaker, if the Prime Minister is somehow suggesting that the media are members of the Privy Council, I suggest he check his notes once again. So, Mr. Speaker, I will go back to my original question and ask for an answer. Was the Prime Minister aware in February the 22nd that his security advisor was going to go out to the press gallery and tell them that India was involved in setting up Jasbel Atwell to be at his event? Yes or no?
The Prime Minister.
Mr. Speaker, I think Canadians are puzzled to know that the leader of the
Order. 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 We need to hear the questions and the answers. I know members will want to hear both. The Right Honourable Prime Minister has the floor.
Speaker, I think Canadians are wondering why the official opposition leader was offered a classified briefing on classified information, and instead of learning the truth, instead of being willing to learn about what actually happened and what good work our security officials and intelligence officials are doing, he chose to play partisan politics instead. That's what Canadians are wondering.
The Honourable Member for Charlesbourg, Haute-Saint-Charles. Mr. Speaker, my question to the Prime Minister today is simple. I hope you will answer clearly and honestly for all Canadians who are listening this afternoon. Was the Prime Minister aware that his National Security Advisor, Daniel Jean, was going to provide a briefing to the media during his recent trip to India? Yes or no? The Right Honourable the Prime Minister. The leader of the official opposition had an opportunity to attend a classified briefing session provided by non-partisan civil servants. But for reasons only he knows, he continues to refuse to want to know the truth. Mr. Speaker, the leader of the opposition should accept that classified briefing, and then we can continue the conversation. The Honourable Member for Charlesbourg, Haute-Saint-Charles. Mr. Speaker, I'm going to repeat my very simple question that has nothing to do with what the Prime Minister has been answering. Was the Prime Minister aware that his National Security Advisor, Daniel Jean, was going to give a briefing in that recent trip to India? Yes or no? The Right Honourable the Prime Minister. Mr. Speaker, Canadians understand perfectly well that when it comes to intelligence and security, sometimes there are reasons why information has to remain classified. However, the leader of the opposition was offered a classified briefing session. He refused. They even spent 20-odd hours voting because they preferred to do that rather than to debate other things like firearms. Now, we can understand why the Conservatives want to make our legislation weaker on firearms. We don't.
The Honourable Member for Rimouski-Nejet-Témiscouata-Les-Basques. The government has been boasting that it is fighting tax evasion, but reality says otherwise. The numbers of the CRA speak for themselves. In 2010-2011, the Criminal Investigation Program opened 167 files. In 2016-2017, only 75 files were opened. We're talking about half the number of files. And yet we've seen issues like the Panama Papers and Paradise Papers. So while the big fish continue to swim away, only the smaller ones are being caught. When will the Prime Minister repair his net and find the true fraudsters? Mr. Speaker, we have invested approximately $1 billion to fight tax evasion and aggressive tax avoidance. There have been 1,000 audits abroad and more than 40 criminal investigations that have to do with foreign transactions. We have imposed $44 million in penalties for those who are promoting tax avoidance schemes, and we've announced more than $90 million over 5 years to manage the other cases that were found through our risk assessment system here and abroad. The Honourable Member. Well, the numbers confirm what I was saying. The small fish are the ones being caught, and the big fish are swimming away. Now, it's tax season, and most Canadians are going to be paying their taxes, but others are going to benefit from tax evasion or tax avoidance schemes. Do you think the CRA will be able to deal with this? Contrary to what the Prime Minister is saying, there were billions of dollars invested in the anti-tax avoidance program. But only $15 million have been spent. Those numbers come from the CRA. So people like the KPMG are being allowed to get away, and yet the government is attacking waiters and waitresses' tips. That's unacceptable. The Right Honourable the Prime Minister. Mr. Speaker, in the 2016 and 2017 budgets, we allocated approximately $1 billion to fight tax avoidance and tax evasion. We take this very seriously, and we are going to continue to make sure that everyone pays their fair share. We have worked hard to improve our system in order to ensure that everyone pays their fair share. It's a priority for Canadians, and it's a priority for this government.
Mr. Speaker, the ability of third-party actors to distort the Facebook platform to undermine elections has created an international outcry. But the comfy, cozy relationship between the Liberal Party, Facebook, and the key players in the scandal is disturbingly symbiotic. Kevin Chan from Facebook comes from the Liberal War Room. Christopher Wiley comes from the Liberal War Room. Not to mention the donations from the head of Facebook to the Prime Minister. So to the Prime Minister, how can Canadians trust that he's going to put their interests ahead of the interests of his friends at Facebook and the Liberal War Room?
Here. Prime Minister. Mr. Speaker, our government has always been unequivocal that the protection of Canadians' data and personal information is of the utmost importance. Social media platforms have a responsibility to ensure the continued protection of our democratic process. While some platforms have begun to take initial steps to address these issues, it is clear that much more needs to be done. The Privacy Commissioner has already begun an investigation into this matter, and we have faith in the officers of Parliament and their ability to conduct investigations in the best interests of Canadians.
Well, member for Timmins, James Bay.
Really? Well, let's talk about another major Liberal donor and another man from the Liberal War Room. Jeff Sylvester is the owner of AIQ, which has been identified as having played a role in undermining the Brexit vote. In fact, Christopher Wiley, another Liberal, is on record to say that IEQ's work in the UK vote was, quote, totally illegal. So my question is to the Prime Minister. Will he assure the House that his party will not block any efforts to have Jeff Sylvester brought by subpoena if necessary to testify about the role of his company in undermining the Brexit vote?
Right Honourable Prime Minister. Mr. Speaker, Canada's democracy is the foundation of the rights and freedoms we cherish, and we take threats to our democracy very seriously. Our government is committed to ensuring that Canadians can continue to trust in our democratic institutions. We continue to closely monitor foreign threats, including those that may affect the 2019 election. At the Minister of Democratic Institutions' request, the Communications Security Establishment released a report last July on cyber threats to Canada's democratic process. The Minister will continue to lead our government's efforts to address threats to Canada's democratic institutions.
Honourable member for Durham.
Mr. Speaker, in a weekend interview, the Public Safety Minister said the Public Safety Committee could not call the National Security Advisor because that meeting would contain classified information. Today, the Prime Minister suggests only Privy Councillors can get the same briefing as reporters because of classified information. So is the Prime Minister telling Canadians that the National Security Advisor revealed classified information to journalists?
Hear, hear. Honourable Prime Minister. Honourable Minister of Public Safety. Mr. Speaker, for the official opposition to fully understand the situation, it is important for those in the opposition who have the necessary security clearance to be privy to certain classified details. That can only be done in the appropriate circumstances where the classified information remains classified. Members of the Privy Council are entitled to that information, and the offer has been made. It's rather odd that the official opposition doesn't seem interested in getting the facts. The honourable member for Durham.
Mr. Speaker, this entire House was seized with this matter last week because the official opposition only wants a briefing from the National Security Advisor of the same level he gave journalists. Now this minister is saying the only kind of briefing we can receive needs to be in confidence because of classified information. If we only want what was given to journalists, Mr. Speaker, is that minister confirming that the National Security Advisor to the Prime Minister revealed classified information to journalists?
Minister of Public Safety. Mr. Speaker, I'm confirming no such thing. The fact of the matter is the Prime Minister has made an offer to the Leader of the Opposition. The Leader of the Opposition should accept that offer, and then further things can be discussed.
The honourable member for Mégantic-L'Érable. Mr. Speaker, let's try another way. Let's play the lie detector game. Jasper Latwell said he was invited by the Liberal government. The member for Surrey Centre says he invited Jasper Latwell. The Prime Minister says that the Atwell affair was a plot on the part of the Indian government to embarrass them. The Indian government says that it was not involved in this. The Minister of Global Affairs says that Jasper's invitation was an honest mistake. Mr. Speaker, someone is not telling all the truth. Who?
The Honourable Minister of Public Safety. Mr. Speaker, let me repeat what the Prime Minister said to the opposition a few moments ago. The Leader of the Opposition should accept the offer of a classified briefing from impartial government officials, and then further things can be discussed.
The honourable member for Mégantic-L'Érable. What is so secret, Mr. Speaker, about what was said to the reporters so that now it has to be said in private to the Leader of the Opposition? It's unacceptable. The family trip of the Prime Minister and his 5 ministers and 19 members of Parliament cost a fortune to taxpayers. Media around the world called this mission a diplomatic disaster. What is the Prime Minister hiding? Why is he preventing Daniel Jean from giving his version to the opposition, Canadians, and all those sitting here in this House?
Minister of Public Safety. The answer is in plain sight. The Prime Minister has offered the Leader of the official opposition the classified briefing. He should accept that briefing, and then other things can be discussed. But, Mr. Speaker, it appears that the opposition is more interested in being willfully blind. Honourable member for Chilliwack Hope.
Mr. Speaker, the official opposition has been asking for the same briefing that was provided to the media on February 22nd. We have not asked for a super secret briefing that can only be heard by members of the Privy Council. If the National Security Advisor surely did not ensure that the members of the media that he gave the briefing to were sworn in as members of the Privy Council. Right. So when can we get the same briefing that was offered to the media, and when will they stop hiding behind this big leaf of the Privy Council secret briefing?
Honourable Minister of Public Safety. Mr. Speaker, the Leader of the Opposition needs to be properly informed of all the appropriate classified information. And once he has that knowledge, Mr. Speaker, then other things can be discussed.
Honourable member for Chilliwack Hope.
Mr. Speaker, once again, we have the Liberals caught with two conflicting stories. Either the National Security Advisor gave an unclassified briefing to the media, or he gave a classified briefing to the media which requires this to remain confidential. Did the National Security Advisor give a classified briefing to those who are not entitled to receive it?
Honourable Minister of Public Safety.
Mr. Speaker, the opposition simply refuses to listen. Mr. Speaker, the offer has been made to provide the Leader of the Opposition with all the details in a classified briefing. Once that has been done, Mr. Speaker, then other things could be discussed. The question is, why does the official opposition decline to be informed? It's as if they want to be willfully blind.
Order. I have to ask the member for Calgary, Signal Hill, and others. They have fabulous voices, but we'd rather hear them when they have the floor, and not when they don't, not to interrupt throughout the answer.
The Honourable Member for Rosemont-la-Petite-Patrie. Mr. Speaker, do you know what the definition is of se faire niaiser, to be given the runaround? Well, according to the Quebec Dictionary, it means creating harm to someone by leading them to believe false information. And that's exactly what the Prime Minister is doing with the Davie Shipyards workers. In January, now, it looks like Quebec is the one who is going to have the 4 icebreakers that the Coast Guard needs. And here we're at the end of March. When are they going to take their fingers out of their noses and act and sign a contract and help the Davie Shipyard workers? The Honourable Member for Public Services. Mr. Speaker, as I have said several times in this House, we are in discussions and negotiations with the Davie Shipyard in terms of the needs for icebreakers for the Coast Guard. We're continuing those negotiations. We're speaking about what we need. We're doing the appropriate checks, and that continues. The Honourable Member for Jonquière. Mr. Speaker, the Liberals have lost the benefit of the doubt when it comes to the icebreaker affair. Yesterday, we learned that negotiations with Davie Shipyards is stagnating and that there's a secret plan to provide Canada with a new icebreaker fleet. We need these contracts, and we need these ships, both for the jobs and to make sure that we have proper icebreaking services in areas like the Saguenay-Lac-Saint-Jean. The government has to stop giving the regions the runaround. Can the Minister tell us what the progress has been on these negotiations, and does she commit to making her plan public? The Honourable Minister. Mr. Speaker, we will continue, as I said, to negotiate with the Davie Shipyards. We are not going to have public negotiations in this House.
Mr. Speaker, the embarrassment of the India trip continues with the Prime Minister's cover-up. The Liberal ministers are now hiding behind false claims of classified national security. As a professional public servant, we know the National Security Advisor would never reveal classified information to the press. Canadians are therefore confused as to why the Prime Minister is preventing the National Security Advisor from testifying to members of this House. So, if there really is nothing to hide, will the Prime Minister finally commit to Daniel Jean's appearance before committee?
Right Honourable Prime Minister.
We have offered a full classified briefing to the Leader of the Opposition. The Leader of the Opposition has refused. The Leader of the Opposition does not want to know the truth. He wants to continue playing politics so that he can play politics, so that he can delay discussion about an important gun bill that keeps our communities safe. The Leader of the Opposition doesn't want to know the truth. He wants to play politics. We're busy protecting Canadians.
Order. Order. Let's remember that each side has their chance to speak, and we wait for our turn to speak. The
Honourable Member for Beauport-Côte-de-Beaupré, Île d'Orléans, Charlevoix. Mr. Speaker, the Atwell affair still has not been cleared up since this disastrous trip to India. The Prime Minister still refuses to answer our questions. We know that Daniel Jean is a professional civil servant who did not give classified information to the media during the briefing on February 22nd. Therefore, we're asking that he be allowed to answer our questions, something the Prime Minister is refusing to do, given that no classified information was provided. Why is the Prime Minister not even allowing Daniel Jean to appear before the Public Safety Committee and provide the same briefing?
Honourable Minister of Public Safety.
Mr. Speaker, the Prime Minister has made a complete offer to the Leader of the Opposition to have the Leader of the Opposition briefed on all the classified details of this matter by the independent and impartial officials of the Government of Canada. The Leader of the Opposition should accept that offer, and then further things can be discussed. But if the Leader of the Opposition won't accept the offer, it's clear he doesn't want to be informed, and he's just playing politics.
The Honourable Member for Barrie Innisfil. Order.
Mr. Speaker, I can't imagine a Canada where better is possible when Liberal MPs and the Prime Minister are engaged in an active cover-up by not allowing Canadians access to the same information given to the media. What is the Prime Minister and every single Liberal sitting in this House trying to cover up? Why are they muzzling a top respected civil servant? Does the Prime Minister actually believe a nonpartisan senior-level public servant would divulge classified information to journalists? And if so, what investigation has he launched into Mr. Daniel Jean?
Honourable Minister of Public Safety.
Mr. Speaker, one minute the opposition pretends to defend Mr. Jean, the other minute they're attacking Mr. Jean. The fact of the matter is, Mr. Speaker, they are playing politics with this issue. If they wanted to get to the bottom of this whole situation, they would accept the offer of a classified briefing so that they can know the facts. If they would rather not know the facts, Mr. Speaker, then they're being willfully blind and they're just trying to play a cheap political trick.
Honourable Member for Barrie Innisfil.
Well, Mr. Speaker, a briefing cannot be both classified and non-classified. I have a very simple question. Was the information given to the media by Mr. Jean classified or not, like the Minister of Public Safety just said?
Hear, hear.
The Minister of Public Safety.
Mr. Speaker, the offer has been made. It's up to the Leader of the Opposition to either accept the offer of a classified briefing and receive all of the necessary information so that he can be informed, or, I suppose, he can reject that offer. If he rejects the offer, Mr. Speaker, clearly he prefers to be willfully blind and he prefers to play politics with the situation rather than getting the facts.
Honourable Member for Saskatoon West.
Mr. Speaker, when the Liberals unveiled their national housing strategy, the Prime Minister very clearly stated, housing rights are human rights, just days after they voted down our bill on the right to housing. Now they talk about a rights-based approach to housing, but even the UN Special Rapporteur on Housing has concerns that the government will not recognize that housing is a human right unto itself. When will the government stop using the right to housing as a slogan and an empty slogan and actually recognize this fundamental human right in law?
The Minister of Social Development.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I'm very grateful for the question. On November 22nd, we announced the first ever national housing strategy. On November 22nd, we also announced the largest investment in the history of this government, of this nation, in housing. On November 22nd, we also announced that these investments would reduce homelessness and take 500,000 Canadians out of housing that is either unaffordable or inadequate, and that will be based on the right to housing, Mr. Speaker.
The honourable member for Hochelaga. Mr. Speaker, contrary to what they would have us believe, the Liberals never planned to recognize the right to housing. Surprised, the government has launched another round of consultations crafted to convey that their so-called approach to the right to housing is based on a lot of things except for implementing the right to housing. If the government truly believes housing is a right, will they at least have the courage to include it in our human rights legislation? The Honourable Minister of Social Development. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I will answer this question entirely in French, but I'd like to quote from Ms. Ferrani, who, when the National Housing Strategy was announced in October, said this.
Acknowledgement that housing is a human right and its intention to recognize through a rights-based housing strategy as well as in legislation. Mr. Speaker, this was a historic moment. We're going to build history in the next 10 years while taking hundreds of thousands of Canadians out of housing need.
Honourable member for Sault Ste. Marie.
Mr. Speaker, in my riding of Sault Ste. Marie, I've heard from many constituents who have been personally impacted by the opioid crisis, a crisis which has been taking too many lives across this great nation. Our government has taken bold action on the crisis through legislation, investments, and numerous other measures. Could the Minister of Health please update this House as to what our government is doing to address this national crisis that's destroying many lives in this country? Thank you.
Minister of Health.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. I'd like to thank my colleague from Sault Ste. Marie for his important question and his hard work in his community. We are in a national public health crisis when it comes to the opioid situations, and I'm proud to see that our government is building on past investments. In Budget 2018, we invested $231 million to help support additional measures to face this epidemic. While I'm disheartened that the Conservative Party voted against measures last week with respect to reducing stigma and to provide support to those in need, I had the pleasure this morning of announcing that we have made it easier for patients to access opioid substitute therapy. I will continue to work hard to turn the tide on this national health crisis. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
The honourable member for Louis Saint Laurent. Mr. Speaker, while the Prime Minister was a theatre teacher, I was a journalist. And we all know that when you can speak publicly about things and not. When he went to India, Daniel Jean briefed journalists and talked about a conspiracy. Mr. Speaker, why is the Prime Minister refusing to give all Canadians access to the information that journalists were given?
Mr. Speaker, the offer has been made to the Leader of the Official Opposition to be fully briefed about all of the classified details of this situation. He should accept that offer so that he can be fully and completely informed. If he accepts the offer, Mr. Speaker, which I hope he will do, then other things can be discussed.
The member for Louis Saint Laurent. Mr. Speaker, the minister's an honourable man. He's been in business for 35 years. He knows full well they're in trouble. Daniel Jean, the senior official, gave information to journalists which was published subsequently. All we want is for all Canadians to have access to that information. It's simple, it's clear. Why is the Minister and the Prime Minister refusing to give all Canadians the information that journalists got?
Mr. Speaker, the honourable gentleman says that the journalists have published all the information, and that's correct. The fact of the matter is, the Prime Minister has offered to the Leader of the Opposition complete details on this situation, the classified information, so that the Leader of the Opposition can be fully informed of all of the relevant facts and circumstances. Now, Mr. Speaker, why would a person interested in discovering the truth and the whole story turn down the information?
The honourable member for Carleton.
Did the National Security Advisor provide classified information to journalists?
The Honourable Minister of Public Safety.
Mr. Speaker, the information that the opposition is craving is the information that the Prime Minister has offered to the Leader of the Opposition. He has offered him a full classified briefing so that he can know all of the facts. He should accept that offer, Mr. Speaker. If he turns it down, if he declines to have all the facts, one can only conclude that he prefers to be legally, willfully blind to the circumstances and play politics with the situation.
Honourable member for Carleton.
Did the National Security Advisor give classified information to journalists?
The Honourable Minister of Public Safety.
Mr. Speaker, again, the opposition is clearly determined to play politics with the situation, and they would rather not be informed of the facts in order that they can be willfully blind. Mr. Speaker, that's not acceptable. They need to accept the offer that was made by the Prime Minister, receive the information in an appropriate way, and then further things can be discussed.
Honourable Member for South Okanagan, West Kootenay.
Mr. Speaker, last October I asked the Minister of Foreign Affairs if she would stand up for the BC and Canadian wine industry in the face of U.S. demands for greater market access under NAFTA. Our wine industry creates over 37,000 jobs across Canada and is our highest value-added agricultural product. But over the last 20 years, the market share of Canadian wine has almost halved, while the U.S. share has more than doubled. Will the Prime Minister state in this House that he will not trade away the thousands of jobs in our wine industry at the 11th hour of NAFTA talks?
Honourable Parliamentary Secretary for Canada-U.S. Relations.
Speaker, the U.S. also has measures in place to promote and protect their own wine industry, including limited points of sale. American wine already does very well in Canada, and the U.S. is our largest supplier. The minister has discussed this with Premier Horgan, and we will continue to work closely with the provinces and territories on this issue. The priority of this government is to look out for the interests of Canadians, including job creation and trade opportunities in various and all sectors. So we're always going to stand up for the Canadian industry and defend our wine producers and workers. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
The Honourable Member for Essex.
Earlier this month, the Liberal member from Hamilton East Stony Creek and co-chair of the Steel Caucus said on national television that the American threats on Canadian steel and aluminum were a ploy and that everybody knows it's a joke. Mr. Speaker, the potential impacts are far too serious for us to dismiss them as a joke. Last week, I requested an emergency debate on tariff threats from the Trump administration. With a May 1st deadline now looming, when exactly will this government act to protect these Canadian industries and the workers whose jobs depend on them?
Honourable Parliamentary Secretary.
Mr. Speaker, our government has worked hard to secure an exemption for Canada from tariffs on both aluminum and steel. And we're going to continue this good work until the prospect of these duties is fully and finally lifted. Our priority is to get the best deal for Canadians, workers, and their families. And as the Prime Minister said to the steel and aluminum workers a couple of weeks ago, we had your backs then and we always will. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Honourable Member for Kamloops, Thompson, Caribou.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. A very simple and straightforward question. Did the National Security Officer give classified information to the media, yes or no?
Minister of Public Safety.
Mr. Speaker, the opposition is clearly playing political games with this very serious situation. The fact of the matter is, last Friday, they threw away an entire question period. They filibustered in unnecessary votes for hours on end. They have twice canceled debate on the firearms legislation that's designed to make Canadians safer in their communities. Mr. Speaker, this government is this opposition is not at all interested in the public interest of Canada. They're interested in silly political games that simply don't stand the test.
A member for Caribou, Prince George.
Mr. Speaker, we have a question. Did the National Security Advisor provide classified information to the media, yes or no?
Honourable Minister of Public Safety.
Mr. Speaker, let me return the favor. Will the Leader of the Opposition accept an offer for a full classified briefing on all the facts of the situation so he can be informed? Or does the Leader of the Opposition prefer to be willfully blind and play politics?
Honourable Member for Caribou, Prince George.
Doesn't the honourable colleague know that it's not polite to point? Mr. Speaker, can the Minister answer this question, yes or no? Did the National Security Advisor provide the media with classified information?
Honourable Minister of Public Safety.
Mr. Speaker, it is abundantly clear that the opposition is not interested in real information. It's not interested in facts and figures. it wants to obfuscate and play games with a very serious situation. The fact of the matter, the offer has been made. They should accept that offer, become informed, and if they decline to be informed, Mr. Speaker, clearly they're trying to be willfully blind and just play a political game.
Honorable Député de Shefford.
The honourable member for Shefford. Mr. Speaker, as of April 1st, the Canadian Agricultural Partnership will provide financial support over 5 years to the agriculture and agri-food sector for strategic initiatives and business risk management. This agreement will no doubt serve as a catalyst for growth. Can the Parliamentary Secretary to the Minister tell us how this partnership will benefit farmers and businesses in my riding of Shefford and all of Quebec? The Parliamentary Secretary. Mr. Speaker, I'd like to thank the member for Shefford for his excellent work on the Agriculture Committee. Last week, I was proud to announce with Minister Lessard in Quebec $293 million for cost-shared strategic initiatives in Quebec as part of the Canadian Agricultural Partnership. This will help keep Quebec farmers strong and innovative and be targeted to best meet the needs of Quebec producers. Our government will continue to stand up for Quebec farmers and help create growth and opportunities for this sector. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
The member for Peace River Westlock.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I'll be asking a question. I'm looking for an answer, not another question. Did the National Security Advisor give classified information to journalists? Thank you.
Honourable Minister of Public Safety.
Speaker, will the Leader of the Opposition accept a full classified briefing so he can be informed, or does he just want to continue a silly political charade?
Député de Saint-Hyacinthe.
The honourable member for St. Hyacinthe-Bagotte. Mr. Speaker, once again, this government is neglecting farmers and agri-food processors, this time around updating the Canadian organic standards. By making the industry foot the bill for consultations on this update, this government is jeopardizing the viability of the organic food industry, which is very much made up of very young starter companies. When will the government take responsibility and provide sustainable ongoing funding for each step of this review, current and future updates, as is the case in the U.S. and Europe? The Honourable Parliamentary Secretary. Mr. Speaker, our budget builds on the previous budget and identifies agriculture as a key industry to Canada. We've invested in protein superclusters, in science and innovation, $175 million to promote trade and to update the organic standards and their funding. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. The honourable member for Saint Laurent. Mr. Speaker, innovation changes our ways of living and working and leads to new opportunities and new challenges for Canada and its G7 partners. This week in my riding of Saint Laurent in Montreal, Canada is hosting G7 labour ministers as this year's G7 meetings get underway.
Where innovative countries are leading the way and job growth is dependent on our ability to adapt, can the Parliamentary Secretary update this House on what he hopes to get out of these G7 meetings?
Honourable Parliamentary Secretary.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker, and I'd like to thank my colleague from Saint Laurent for her question and for hosting the important G7 ministerial meetings in Montreal. Mr. Speaker, globally, we've entered an innovation race, and to ensure our success, we must invest in new industries and in our people. That's why we're making smart investments in skills training and post-secondary education, creating nearly 60,000 paid internships and teaching digital literacy to young Canadians. We also know that we cannot afford to leave half of our population behind. That's why we're addressing pay equity, women's entrepreneurship, and we are committed to getting more women in STEM.
The honourable member for Lévis, Verchères, Les Patriotes. Mr. Speaker, the talks are slow, going nowhere, and tedious. There's no agreement on price nor timelines. What a mess. And yet the Prime Minister himself promised on January 14th, he promised 4 new icebreakers for Davie Shipyard. Whether it's for the aluminum smelter in Saguenay, the Port of Montreal, ferries in Quebec City, we need new, modern, high-performance icebreakers. What's keeping the Prime Minister from delivering on his promise to put shipyard workers back to work? The Honourable Minister. Mr. Speaker, we identified the needs of the Coast Guard for icebreakers. We're continuing our discussions and negotiations with Davie Shipyard to meet those needs. The discussions are ongoing. We're doing our due diligence. We have nothing new to announce right now, but we're continuing the discussions. The Honourable Member for Repentigny. Mr. Speaker, the democratically elected President of Catalonia, who was impeached by Spain and then re-elected by the people, Carles Puigdemont, was arrested in Spain. There was a popular uprising, which Spain met with violent crackdowns. Canada is condoning those crackdowns with its deafening silence. He was arrested for democratically offering his people the right to decide their own political future. Will Canada stand up and condemn this full frontal attack on democracy? The Honourable Parliamentary Secretary. Mr. Speaker, we are following the situation closely and advocate a peaceful solution. We hope that this will be done in keeping with the laws and Constitution of Spain. Thank you. The Honourable Member for Pierre Boucher, Les Patriotes Verchères. Mr. Speaker, yesterday, the former president of the state of Catalonia, Carles Puigdemont, was arrested by German authorities. 5 other Catalan politicians were also thrown in jail in Spain in order to prevent Catalonia from naming a successor. Is Canada going to call on Germany and Spain to free these political prisoners and condemn this attack on democracy? Because, Mr. Speaker, it's up to the 7.5 million Catalonians to decide their own future, not a handful of despots. Democracy means freedom. The Honourable Parliamentary Secretary. As I just said, Mr. Speaker, we are following the situation closely. We hope that a peaceful solution can be found in keeping with the laws and Constitution of Spain.
The Honourable Member for
Hochelaga rising on a point of order. Mr. Speaker, since the government has undertaken a new series of consultations on approach where housing will be based on human rights, I rise on this point of order to seek unanimous consent to table in both official languages the brief that I submitted as part of the consultations on the National Housing Strategy, which reflects the willingness of groups by calling for the adoption of an approach based on human rights, by acknowledging the universal right to housing, by integrating this principle into our human rights legislation, and by taking steps to eliminate the obstacles to fully implement this right. Does the Honourable Member have the unanimous consent of the House to table the motion? There is no unanimous consent. The Honourable Member for Saanich Gulf Islands on a point of order.
Mr. Speaker, you may have noticed in question period occasionally I attempt to gesture to you. It's because, and I want to explain, this standing orders make it clear that we're not supposed to heckle in this place, and it would be a fool's mission to try to get the volume down.